Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update for Bitcoin. I'm going to be discussing the bullish and bearish scenarios down on the smaller time frames in a moment. Just wanted to show you on the larger time frames my expectations. In the bullish scenario, since the low at 15,476, have this as a wave 1, 2, 3, 4 complete, looking for a fifth wave to the upside. Things to note, we did not come to the 1.618 for our third wave, the most common target, which leaves the opportunity to get an extended fifth wave past these current fifth wave targets of wave 1 off of wave 4 for our target. Now, other things to note, this is our channel. It's a modified pitchfork taken from the beginning of wave 1 off the top of wave 1 off of wave 2. It's just a channel. And our fourth wave, we look to either pivot off the top end or the center channel. Sorry, the median line of the pitchfork here. So no surprise after we got our sell-off last video that we came right off that median line and then rejected to the upside and got bought up. So best fitting on the larger time frames for our median line guidelines, not rules, just guidelines, is we hold this area. So I'm basing my counts on that. I can show you how we can make one more low and then move to the upside again, but right now I'd like to see this area hold. And my bearish scenario, which I think is less probable than the upside, is a leading diagonal wave 1, flat wave 2, another 1 and 2, and we're going to gear up for a micro 1, 2 before we absolutely collapse. Basically a 1, 2, 1, 2, working on 1, 2. So that should resolve quickly if that is what is playing out here. So we're going to go to the smaller time frames. Again, I want you to remember that we did tick off that median line, which has been holding, as you can see, all the way through here as support and resistance. So it is respecting it very nicely. So we're going to focus on that on the smaller time frames. So this is how I have us technically complete now. Now, if you were on my last video, I suggested we could make a lower low, most likely in a diagonal, but the wave count has changed again. Elliott wave is if this, then that, and when things invalidate, you must adjust and reanalyze. So I did take this long myself. I had this as a wave 1, 2, 1, 2. So my expectation, I bought in this area, and then I leveraged up, and my expectation was 1, 2, 1, 2, and we we're absolutely going to take off. Now, guidelines had that change. We had 5 waves up here, 5 waves up here. So remember, a 1, 2, 1, 2 mimics exactly an ABC, right? You're not going to know any difference until you see the reaction after the fact, and you're tracking this wave here. So if you were in a long, you should have had alarms going off as soon as we passed this 618 and didn't continue. Absolute invalidation was at this pivot, but anything past the 786, I would say very unlikely. So hopefully you were able to navigate that. You can see we had a nice 5-wave move after that, or an ugly WXY, which I think is pretty much unlikely, low probability. Now, as per our count, have this as an ABCW, ABC with 5 waves down, which is now an expanded flat because we made a lower low below the A wave. And looking for, go out to the hourly, a matching wave now off this pivot low of this W off the X for our Y wave, which has changed to 71,204 for the next move up. It should happen in a similar amount of time as this first move to the upside. So we're going to have to see what happens in this area, and I'll tell you what to look for on the micro to make this the most probable count. Now, as for, you can see we actually ended up hitting the 1.382 currently. Now, if we do come down to the downside, I'm just going to talk about this, how we can still come down, and let me just get rid of something here. Get rid of this count so you can see the alternative. This is not the prettiest wave. I think it is currently the best fit based on the guidelines I've pulled, but we have a wave 1, 2, 3, 5-wave move down, and we had a very extended 4th wave as a running flat and 5-wave move down. Now, the reason I have this like this is this 5-wave move down. It does complete a 5-wave move. As you can see, we did get a running flat here for our 4th, although very extended in time. Not my favorite, but it does complete at one of our standard targets there for our C wave, where C is 1.382 times the length of wave A. And what I like about this is we've actually finally hit all these levels to get rid of all the people that were holding leverage longs from these different pivots. The only 2 left is this one and the absolute low, right? So we've taken quite a bit of liquidity from the longs. And I would imagine quite a lot of people are probably exhausted from this. I think it's 170 something days now. 173 days of sideways. Pretty boring. And usually when people are exhausted, frustrated, is when you see the move, at least in my experience. So I have this as my primary. And remember, Elliott wave is if this, then that. Okay? So if we go down to off this low, if we get our 5-wave move up, one more wave, and our correction, that switches probabilities highly that this is either a wave 1 and 2 or a wave A and B. So if we can get 5 waves up here, it makes it very likely that we at least get another equal length wave to the upside as a C, or if we continue and come up to the 1.618, more likely a wave 3. So it's very important we get this last wave to the upside. Let's take a look at my alternative. I'll show you that as well. That also fits quite nicely, and that's where this is an A, B, C, 5 waves down. Remember a 1, 2, 3. It looks similar to an ABC. Same amount of waves, right? In a zigzag. 5, 3, 5 is a 1, 2, 3, depending on your extensions. 1.618, obviously more likely a 3rd wave, which is why I have this label as complete, but can also be a C wave. So if this is an ABC, we can also get, over here, another ABC. And this would all turn to a W, X, Y. Right, so just something to keep in mind. This also fits nicely, this long extended X. And that would be if we do not make this 5th wave and we just collapse from here, I would expect this to turn into a zigzag and finally hit that 1.618. That's how we can still make another move to the downside and then recover again. So it's not pretty, as you can see. But my viewpoint is we're most likely complete, and I will get very excited once we get this 5 wave to the upside for the potential trade setup. So we need this one more move to the upside, and I'll talk about that in a moment, but just wanted to show you my larger term view. Now, if we get this 5 wave move, where's my bear count? Oh, I don't seem to have it. So in the 3rd 1-2 scenario, call this our wave 2 high. I don't think it is, personally, just because of the guidelines currently. And reason for that is we didn't hit the one-to-one extension of this wave off the low, off the high for our WXY. We did not hit the one-to-one. I think we only hit linear, the 618 on linear scale. So more likely a B wave, why I have this as a flat pattern. But anyways, if I still have this labeled as 5 waves to the downside, this could be wave 2 and another 1 and 2. Right? We'd get an A, B, C to the upside, and that's where we would absolutely collapse and get our third wave. But it's important to note that if we do get this fifth wave, in the bullish and bearish scenario, we should at least get another move up. We'd take our fib pulls from the low to the high. And I'm just going to run through this quickly here. And we would expect an equal length wave, ABC, to the upside, right between most common areas there, between the 50 and the 786, right? Before collapsing. That's why I'm interested in getting this long. It's a really nice situation you can get yourself in when the bullish and the bearish scenarios are pointed in the same direction. So a lot relies on this next move to the upside. Do we get 5 waves? Okay, so let's wrap it all up here. So still looking for this Y wave. Targets have changed because I pulled off the last low. This is a WXY up to around 71,000, and that can be many different patterns. That could be continuation to the downside after in a larger flat, something like that. Or it could be wave 1 within our, that's not the one, within a larger diagonal. I'm not going to get into this count right now. Just wanted to show you it as the option to complete our wave 5, right? So let's go to the smaller time frames, talk about this. And we'll just use our rules and guidelines here. So if we're complete, let's put on our fib levels. Let's go down to the 3-minute actually. Keep the simple ones on. On the micro, we're literally down to the 3-minute here. But have this as a wave 1, 2, 5 waves up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, pretty clean. We're at the 1.618 extension. Looking for this fourth wave, either complete or mid-correction, and a fifth wave to the upside between this 200 and the 2.236. If you're doing this in real time, you can get even more tighter. Take the length of wave 1, wherever wave 4 is complete. If it happens to be complete here, that would be around 59,000, the 1-to-1 extension. But we also want to hold above the 50 for this fourth wave. And in validation of that is the wave 1 overlap or the 618 at 57,070-ish. So we want to see this wave hold, wave 4, at this area and make this fifth wave up. After we get this pullback is where I want to load up. And this would either be our A wave in that wave 2 to the downside or our wave 1 and 2 or B on the way to the upside. So you can see how important this last wave is. Now, if we come and we invalidate this 618 overlap with wave 1, I'd more likely see this as our ABC. We're making equal length and come to the 1.618 extension of that original move. And this entire correction would become an ABCX, ABC for WXY, and then I'd expect another attempt to the upside. So a lot depends on whether we get a clean 5-wave move out of here, right? So that's what I'm looking for in the bullish and bearish scenarios. And I am long currently. but I'm looking to hedge in this area, which just means go short the same amount I am long. So basically locking up all the profit from this area, and I'll re-add, I'll add to my position here to the upside. Absolute stop will be at that low here. So a good zone, if we end up making this pattern, make your own decisions. Say we come up to that 59.70 area, would be, let me get rid of this wave 4, between the 382 and the 786. If you're just a swing trader, some suggestions would be take a third at the 382.50 and the 618. That way, if we just come to a 382, you're in there. You can add on the B wave breakout. If this is an ABC, you can add, trigger in at this, put your stop at the C wave low, because if the wave 2 is complete, it should just continue on, right? So that's how you can add if you don't get filled completely. But absolute low, if we do get this 5-wave move, is the beginning of this wave 1, right? But looking good. That is my expectation. Either we get this wave Y, which should be equal time and length of this, so it should happen pretty quickly, or we get another move down. This turns into another 3-wave pattern, and we attempt a new high again. All right, I hope that was helpful. The most important thing over the next day is getting that 5th wave high. And a really interesting area, I was looking over this chart all day and tracking this setup, is, let's go to the 1 hour, get rid of that. Just wanted to show you this area. Look at this zone right here. Can draw it out a little bit better. Look at this zone, how many touches we have in this area. Resistance turned to support, support turned to resistance. So it'll be very nice if we can reclaim this zone and use it as support again. All right, look at that. We just need one more push up. And another area to watch here is this current trend line to the downside. If we can break above that and then correct above, that is the setup, right? But yeah, we'll be watching these zones, see if we can recover quickly. If we just end up getting this ABC, most common areas between the 50 and the 786. So we'll see if we can blow through the 1-to-1 and make it come up to the 1.618, make it more likely a 3rd wave, blow through the 618, then our probability shift to the upside. But if we come to the 1-to-1 and end up making a C wave and start rejecting in like a 5-wave move, this is the absolute area if this plays out for that bear scenario, right? But anyways, now I'm just babbling on. I know a lot of people are interested in this area. It's a very important area, but it's an if this, then that scenario. And a lot of people, it's funny when I get comments, people are like, you were wrong. Yeah, but you should have realized quickly if you were tracking in real time that this was an ABC, because if it was a 1-2-1-2, we would have absolutely launched, right? And you should also note that if we don't make this 5th wave, we're most likely making a partner leg to this move to the downside, right? And then we make another attempt to the upside. All right, guys, but I am still heavily biased that we break this high before breaking this low. Reason being, this plays way more likely as a expanded flat than a WXY complete, and we're moving to the downside. All right, so my bias is heavily that if we make this move to the upside in this 5th wave, that we're making this matching leg. All right, guys, that's it for Bitcoin. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.